Hi everyone, it's Bella from Unlock Your Design here with a daily Jinky horoscope for February 2nd. The sun has moved into a new gate, gate 13. We are in Aquarius season, and I'm going to give you an overview of this gate, looking at it from an archetypal perspective where we're weaving astrology, human design, the I Ching. In front of you, you have a visual representation of the confident archetype, which is the archetype we are using in the 64 doors to describe the 13th hexagram. So the confident archetype 13, it's in transit from February 2nd to February 6th. In human design, it's the gate of the listener. In the I Ching, we call it the fellowship of man. In the gene keys, it goes from the shadow of discord to the city of empathy, and it's the gift of discernment. In the I Ching, the confidant is one of the archetypes that has the fire trigram on the bottom of the hexagram. All these archetypes are going to have that trigram on the bottom, which is yang, yin, yang. Looking at the specific hexagram, we have heaven on top of fire here for the 13. Looking at the braid, when we have heaven over heaven is the first gene key. When we have fire over fire is the 30th. So we could say here that the 13 is made up of the energy of the first and the 30th gene key. In the shadow frequency, discord is the entropy of desire. In the gift frequency, discernment is fresh light. And in the Siddhic frequency, empathy is the beauty of rapture. In astrology, the confidant is an Aquarius gate. Aquarius is the revolutionary change agent, service to self-growth through the expansion of consciousness. It's fixed air. Aquarius is the energized air of the ethers that calls our consciousness to the cosmos. See here that Aquarius is connected to the 11th house. The ruler is Uranus, and it's in the transpersonal part of the wheel where we find integration of self with society. The confidant is the first gate in the quarter of initiation, where the purpose is fulfilled through the mind. You see here that all these hexagrams have a yang line on the bottom and then a yin line. In human design, this is the gate of the listener. It's in the G center, where the shadow is me, the gift is self, and the city is oneness. Here we see the harmonic gate, the 33. So 33 and 13 are forming a channel. This is the channel of the prodigal, a design of a witness. It's a projected channel. The theme here, every cycle of experience in your life will make sense in the end. The deeper you experience this insight, the more patient and at peace you will be in the now. Looking at the frequency band for the whole channel, we have the shadow of misery, which comes from forgetting and discord. We have the gift of evaluation, which comes from mindfulness and discernment. And then the city of omnipresence, which comes from the revelation and empathy. In the 64 doors, we call the 33 the medicine woman. The programming partner is the mirror opposite. So here we see we have the 13, like we said, in Aquarius, and then opposite in Leo, we have the 7th. We also have the mirror opposition in the hexagram. So wherever the 13 has a yang line, the 7 is going to have a yin line. So for each one of the lines, we're going to have both yin and yang. We also see that discord and division go hand in hand, discernment and guidance go hand in hand, empathy and virtue go hand in hand. And lastly, we see that the 13 is part of the collective circuitry and the sensing circuit. And here the main keynote is sharing. So looking at the Thursday chart, the sun has moved on from gate 19 to gate 13, and the moon is now in Cancer in its home sign in gate 52. The moon here is making an aspect to Saturn. The moon has to do with our instinctive awareness or our subjective reality, our emotions. And Saturn has to do with our structures and our limits. However, Saturn here is in gate 30, that's an emotional gate in the emotional center, and it has to do with our desired nature. So for me, with this aspect, there is something coming up to the surface about what we desire. What are the things that we want to have, but maybe there is an obstacle or a limit that's preventing us from really consuming that desire. We also have the moon communicating in a more tense way with Jupiter. Jupiter has to do with expansion and abundance. My recommendation here when there are emotions that are accentuated, it's not the time to act. With emotional authority, whether it's our own or it's activated by the transits, it's important to not run and just do things, not just go and spend a lot of money just because Jupiter is here trying to convince the moon that now we should jump and buy all the things we're desiring. Just be with it. And from being with it, that's where we can have more clarity, but also deeper wisdom on the emotional plane. So don't allow the emotions to push you to act before you have clarity. You see that the moon is in gate 52, which is actually the gate of stillness, the mountain. So sit in that mountain, feel everything that's going through in the emotional and in the astral weather, and allow the weather to calm down before you make important decisions, especially when it comes to spending. Another aspect that's tying into this is the square between Mars and Venus. Here we have creative tension between Venus, the planet of love, beauty, money, and then Mars, which is our energy and drive. Here we find another risk to act prematurely and go after what we want, whether that's material or in relationships. We have a 1-3 day, and that third line can definitely create some turmoil. There are a lot of things pulling and pushing on us that can create emotional instability and this intensity in relationships. I would let the storm settle, and then leading up to the full moon at the end of the week, I would see clarity on what are the things that I need to let go of and what are the things that I want to keep in my life. So it's not about acting impulsively and just doing it because the emotions or the desire is in that moment pressuring you. It's much more about the long term and knowing what is it that I want to keep and what is it that needs to go. In the Gene Key chart, we have a new activation sequence, a new cross that is made up of the 13, the confidant, the 7, the alpha, the 1, the spark, the 2, the feminine. We call this the right angle cross of the Sphinx. People with an individual direction whose unique way of remembering experiences brings a living, vibrant past into the future. The 13 is the gate of the listener. It hears everything that's being said, and a lot of the things that aren't said, a lot of the things that we need to read between the lines. It's also the gate of secrets, because people come to you with secrets. And even if you hear a lot of the dark secrets and the difficult experiences that people are through, you're not becoming pessimistic. You're still empowered. You're still optimistic about the future. That's how you can bring the past, even the difficult things, into a brighter future, which is a lot what this cross is about, including the past into the future. In the astrological chart, we saw this is a day with a lot of emotions. However, looking at the inner part of the Gene Key chart, we see that there's also a potential for nurturing. We have Venus, the IQ, in Pisces in gate 37, which is the mother archetype. And then we have the attraction, the sign moon, in the nourisher archetype, 27. And the purpose is grounded into the feminine archetype, the trust in life, the orientation every moment, the mother that embraces it all, that trusts everything. In the body graph, we have no black channels, which means it's a reflector day. A lot of energy moving through. If you want an ally for Thursday, I would choose the 52, which is where the moon is in the morning. The 52 is the mountain archetype, the gate of stillness. Whatever the weather brings, emotions, impulsiveness, desire, as you're staying in your center, as you're grounding in your root, as you're anchoring, you're going to still be there as the weather changes, as the calm comes. So the 52 can help you to anchor and wait until you have clarity before you act in any way that will just create turmoil in your relationships and in your life. Those are the main energies for Thursday. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.